Next Wave Gaming. What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in for this week's North American SPL review for the final week, Week 7, the 6th week of gameplay. With us this week, we have Na. Thanks for joining us.
No problem, guys. Happy to be here.
Cool. And I'm Wolfpack89. With me, I have Scotch737 and Crimson White from Next Wave Gaming. How you guys doing?
What's up?
Doing good.
For those of you who don't, good. For those of you who don't know, I'm Wolfpack89. I do the site dev and a lot of the social networking and reaching out to players and talking with people and getting things lined up for the show and for Next Wave Gaming. And I do a lot of the management stuff around Next Wave Gaming, along with a little bit of esports analysis. Scotch?
I'm Scotch737. I do the video editing for Next Wave Gaming and try to play ranked, try to play a little bit of casual queue, just do whatever.
And I'm Crimson White. I cover the NA SPL. I feed in Smite, and I spam on Twitter. So.
And of course, Na, the mid laner for Dignitas.
That's me,
Awesome.
the bad player.
Not at all.
No,
Not
I'm just
at all. So, let's get straight into it. This was a great week. There were some awesome games, and we will have Crimson White take us off. Your favorite part of this whole thing, the picks and bans. Take us away.
So, we had 9 games this week due to a Thirst forfeit to Dignitas, so our top players were not a 10-game involvement, but 9. Again, we have Geb and Ra being the two gods with 100% involvement, followed by Sirket, who's making a definite resurgence with 6 bans and a pick, Freya with 4 bans and 3 picks, Janus also with 4 bans and 3 picks, Nemesis with 5 bans, 2 picks, Thor with 3 bans and 4 picks, Nuwa with 2 and 5, and Athena with 0 and 7. I really am glad Sirket's back on the map, because Sirket I've said this before, but Sirket is essentially Mercury who scales faster with a ranged taunt. And I think if people don't ban Sirket every game, they're dumb. That's because I think she's way overpowered. On the other side, why do you think Ra is so potent in the meta right now, Nah?
Ra, just because he's okay. Well, for one thing, he's a pretty easy guy to play. With his ult, he usually gets set up with, a Geb ult or Athena taunt, whatever. So it makes his ult usually an easy thing to hit. Sometimes you gotta hit them over walls blindly, or they're running away. But usually they're set up, and they're really it's easy damage. That's 100% confirmed damage. Also, he's really good mid because of the sustain. One of the biggest things in the game right now is the first mid harpy fight, and or if you have a long extended fight, you can sustain your team up while other teams have to back. You can go get Gold Fury, that kind of thing. So his heal is really his support utility / he's a hybrid. He can do massive amount of damage. He can heal your team and sustain up, or you can have a crazy slow as well as too. But he's definitely he's definitely top pick usually, or ban. Sometimes we ban it. We play it when we can if we feel like we have to. But he's just overall just an easy, really good god that has massive sustain and massive damage if you need.
He's always seemed to be kind of like a jack of all trades, right? He's got wave clear. He's got a slow. He's got the blind, which I don't think any of the god has the blind in the game, do they? He's got the blind, so you can't see anything. Shibalanke is the closest, but it's Shibalanke, so why talk about him? He's got a heal, and he's got the burst damage from his ult, and he's got the lowest cooldowns in the game. Like on top of that, he has movement speed.
Who's got the lowest cooldowns, Ra?
Yeah, some of the lowest cooldowns. I mean, his ult comes up every 30 seconds.
Oh, that's his ult, but his heal's pretty long. His Q's kind of long sometimes. If you want to talk about low, you can talk about Hebo if you really want to. But
yeah, or even Shanghai. Shanghai has some low.
But Shanghai's really hard mid. I've tried her. No. I think Ra he's really good mid, and I think he's really good solo. But I think he's more prioritized mid because of the mid harpies.
Here's a question. You were talking about Sirket earlier, Crimson. So you were saying that Sirket should be first pick or banned. Period. What we're seeing a lot is essentially that gives us 2 gods that are first pick, first ban material right now. Mercury kind of falling off a little bit, not being played anywhere near as much.
Completely, honestly. I was going to bring that up, is that Mercury and Loki both fell off pretty hard this week in the meta. That Mercury had a ban and 2 picks, so when Mercury was you pick or you're banned or you're in trouble. And Loki only had 1 pick the entire NA.
My god, Sirket's 1 hits 3 times now, but I still don't think it's as good as Loki.
It is.
Well, my question here, though, is on your first pick, do you ban Sirket still? And if you don't ban Serket, you first pick her. And if you first pick her, then do you have to ban Geb as a first pick?
If you're first pick and you're going for Serket, you got to ban Geb. If I think Serket is I still think she's really good, especially if you want to let a Ra go through, because her ult eliminates healing 100%.
Yeah.
So, and not only she's very hyper aggressive early on, and then she gets be almost kind of like a hyper carry, kind of not so much, but her little triple dash can crit.
Yep.
That's the big thing, because you can actually literally 100 to 10% or even 0 some players if you get all 3 crits, and then you got Deathbringer and you're fed with Rage or Malice or whatever. So she's just really she has a leap and the taunt, which taunts are always good, and the taunt actually attacks their teammates. But I think she's used because of her hyper aggressiveness, and that's why if you get called out, you're gonna die. You get taunted, you get hit with the zigzag, and you get ulted. And usually, if the mid player or whoever they gank can't follow up, they might just die anyways from the poison over time. So she is highly contested. She's always been since she came out, and now that she's back in the meta, because that her one is fixed, you've been seeing more bans. I think it's been banned every game. Yeah, didn't you say it was banned every? Or
it was at 6 bans and a pick today, for this week of the NA SPL, and I think the 2 whether she wasn't picked or banned, were early this week. So it was moving the meta towards it.
And then you can leave open like Ra and stuff, or a healing team because of that ult. So she's just I don't play her. Last plays her, and he did very well with the last time we played Snipe with her. Got that triple kill with the poison spreading, which is pretty good.
Phenomenal play.
Great play.
And I've also seen other teams in the Challengers Cup. I think I saw one team from SPL. I don't think it was SPL. It might have been Challengers Cup, who ran Athena Serket, and they did kind of what we did with the Serket staying invisible, Athena on top, jump in. Yeah. It just out of nowhere scares the shit out of you. So
it reminds you of the old Loki Athena.
Yep.
That's still that. That's still there too. Loki, we mentioned Loki. The thing about Loki, it depends where you play him. Solo is usually the safest for farm. He can go against like Ra and have a hard time, because usually you max your decoys Loki in the solo lane. Jungle, the reason why Loki is like a high risk, high reward, kind of like a Kali right now. Kali hyper game, like late game, is just unstoppable. Usually, once you get Chin's blades online, Tin size, it just she just rips through people. And it's the same thing with Loki. If Loki gets a little fed and he gets his max cooldown or whatever you build him, Jotun's Wrath and stuff like that, and and he gets to the back line and he will almost one shot your carries. Yeah. But the thing is, in the jungle, he has really bad clear. That's why he's not played often in jungle. It's a high risk thing. Sometimes you can get away from it, sometimes you go. Same thing with Kali. If you pick Kali and you fall behind, you're probably not ever going to get ahead.
So I got one, maybe 2 other things I want to talk about here. And one of them is Snoopy trying to make Vulcan ADC a thing. He picked Vulcan twice, and they were the only 2 picks for Vulcan. And we saw how well Degar's Kali, although that may still be a flavor of the month. We've seen a lot more Kali resurgence. Do you think Snoopy's ADC Vulcan will work?
ADC Vulcan's actually been around for a while. I actually did it too a long time ago, because I love Vulcan. If you guys don't even know, he's actually
we all know.
He's probably is my favorite god. I've only played him twice in SPL, and I've won both games. But
yes, you did.
He just doesn't. They don't believe in it yet. I have to get him to believe in it over the next month or so. But yeah, ADC. The thing about Vulcan, and I've tested this, and I think it works pretty well. And I've tested it against good players. I played against Barracuda with Vulcan ADC. I played against Allied and Zap, and Zap knows too. He felt it before, the Vulcan ADC. It can work. It depends how you play it. I think Snoopy maxes something else. I'm the only one that maxes my turret, and it's just my playstyle, the way I use it. It can add, to me, it acts like a second person, but it can work. I don't know what his build is in the duo lane. I would usually go Thoth myself, probably, or even Doomorb if you really feel like it. But it usually pokes out hunters. It usually can. And until hunters get Devo Gloves online and a little bit more extra damage, they won't be able to sustain as much as a Meatball Harass.
Well, Snoopy would be much more better if he could hit his ults with Vulcan. But...
Is that what it is? Yeah. No, to be fair, Vulcan ult is probably the hard. It's so hard to hit. I've explained it on stream a million times. If you miss it, don't feel bad, because and the thing is, Vulcan ult heads up is never going to work. They can see it. It's so slow. And the way you got to use Vulcan ult is sneak behind an enemy team and throw it over some walls.
Yeah.
And max range hit it. That's how you do it. It's got to be like a hidden missile. Because if they see it or hear it, and there's that big ass red targeter, yeah, they're gonna quit. And that's just how that is.
Snoopy's build over Snipe this last week was, and this might be a scrim, this might be an in-game. I'm not really sure which one it is, but it's Vampiric Shroud into Bancrofts into Pen Booch, Chronos Pendant, and then he built into Lost Artifacts. So probably going for a
Rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of I don't go Chronos Pendant myself, but that's kind of how I do it in mid lane. In the solo, I'd probably take advantage of like being able to farm more safely with the support. I'd probably go Thoth. It might take a little while to get your boots online. But also, when I first started playing Vulcan, I used to do solo lane, and I used to build like Warlock Sash into like Doom Orb, or Doom Orb into Warlock Sash before Book of Thoth got buffed with the price reduction, and that build is just nasty late game. But I don't know. I've never played directly against it. I think it could work, and the builds are, I guess, everybody's playstyle or opinions. I mean, I go Max CDR Janus. I always get shit for that, but I wreck everybody with it. So why would I change it up? It's so fun too. It's so fun. I don't know. It is what it is. But
more damage per minute, man.
I think it could work. If more hunters are more flexible, like I think if I were to ever give Vulcan to Zatman, he'd probably never do anything with it. Snoopy is a very flexible player. He's played many roles. He's played other gods other than hunters. So I mean, if there's a guy that will do it, it'd probably be him. But I do think it could work.
So actually, moving to talk about our weekly scores for ADC. King Cog's Barracuda leads all with 1816, followed by Snoopy at 1494, Allied at 1366. Samshire the Chunks going at 1259, Zapman at 1182 is one of his lower weeks, and then Recon of Thirst, who actually played more games than Astra Squared, at 1055. Barra went off. There isn't another way to put it, because Barracuda's structure damage per minute was 203, 202.9. When you're killing towers that quickly, I think he soloed Gold Fury today, if I remember correctly. Barra had an incredible week.
Just to put that in perspective, Barracuda having 202.9 structure damage and Snoopy per minute, and then Snoopy had 66.5, and he's the next highest. Allied having 4.4 structure damage per minute. Samshire having 40.8. Playing some actual hunters this week.
Well, I'd like to see what gods are played, because I feel like Apollo could put up those numbers easier than other gods.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to depend on what gods you're playing a little bit, too.
Because if you're playing Vulcan ADC, you're not going to get much structure damage anyway.
Probably not, no.
And Samshu likes stuff like Nuwa and Aphrodite, which ain't going to do nothing to the structures either. So, I mean, Barracuda loves his Apollo, and he loves his Rama. Thank God they're getting nerfed this week, man. I've been complaining about Apollo forever.
We'll see how much do you think that Apollo nerf is going to impact the game? I mean, it doesn't give magical protections.
I could tell you this, though. If there's a better time for Vulcan ADC, it's now. Because his magical protections aren't, they're stripped away.
Yeah. 50% protections is retarded, dude.
It's not percent, it's 50.
Yeah, it's 50 protections.
I don't know what the percentage is, but it is. I agree. Like, no, Apollo to me, no offense to anybody who plays Apollo and does well, even Barracuda, he's an amazing player. He's probably one of the best. But Apollo has been like one of the best 80s carries forever, the best hunters, because I just never understood his kit. He has a knock-up on his dash. He has a knock-up on his ult, which are just... They're actually... Knock-ups are really good in this game because of the fact that they interrupt... Some spells, some abilities come out with a longer frame. Like a 6 or 7 second frame or 10-second frame. Like Raz 2, he has to spin around first and then it goes off. You can interrupt this too like 5 times, well 3 times before DR or after DR. But the knockups are really detrimental when you're trying to cast an ability. So he has a knockup that gives him there's a movement speed debuff and buff or whatever. I don't even understand that. His mez is a mez that lasts forever. Doesn't even get broken up by creeps and gives him 50 protections of magical and physical right now, and then his one's wider than the football field and does a lot of damage. So it's like, this is one.
I'm sensing a little bit of saltiness coming from...
No, Zatman has been preaching this for like the last 10 weeks.
Zatman's trying to play at Moose and Cobb.
Better luck to him. Moose and Cobb is a great boxer, but I've lost many ranked games and even like other games because of Apollo. split pushing is another strong suit of his. Oh, when in doubt, split push. That's what you do. And sometimes if you can't stop it, you're going to win. Oh, your team's set up for Fire Giant? Let's put pressure on the left side of the map, and then when a fight breaks out, you fly over. It's so ridiculous,
and
man.
that's what Barracuda did this week. And it very clearly shows that he played a lot of Apollo because the structure damage is very, very high. On the other end of the spectrum, someone had very low structure damage, but a lot of success was Allied. Snipe had a very, very good week, but Allied, whom, having watched him play this week a good deal of his games, Allied had a very good week. 4.4 structure damage says otherwise, but
he played Freya. True, he did play Freya.
Freya late game, man.
That's a comfort pick for him. Is the Freya. Another god that's broken beyond belief, in my opinion. I hate that god too.
I'm sensing a little bitterness. Yeah, he came out with 563.4 player damage per minute, Allied, behind only Snoopy at 687 and Barracuda at 630.3. So coming in third in player damage. So doing pretty well, all in all. And he walked away with, what did he walk away with? 1457. I mean, 1400, 1500 is right where you want to be as a competitive hunter. So, doing pretty well. I think that pretty much covers our hunters. We covered a little bit of everybody. Overall, you're looking at first place. Look at the correct score here. First place is going to go to Snoopy from Cog Red, landing at 1656 over these past 7 weeks of play. 20 games, 536 minutes. Zetman, Na's own hunter, will take second at 1615. And then you got Barracuda at 1566. In fourth place, you got 1441 is Allied. Sam Shur Na at 1221, and Recon, who played for Astro Squared this week, coming down at 1056. Although if you look at Astro Squared's numbers, he has an 1163. So depending on who you want to look at there, although Recon being the main player this week. So that covers our hunters. So let's go to the other part of the duo lane, which is the supports. Supports this week, top supports. Let's see here. Your top support is going to be Jeff Hinla at 1972. Elbro Chacho, surprisingly, at 1884. Only playing 2 games this week, though. And then you got Ionic at 1838. Aurora at 1772. Incon didn't play this week as support. I don't know what that stat is.
Incon was support this week.
Sorry, I was thinking Incon wasn't mid. Oh, you're right. He was support this week. I apologize. Coming in at 1568. And then Solette, who filled in for El Brochacho 1 game, was at 1532. So we have a few extra scores there, but you can see on the screen your top players who we're using for our main roles.
And Dare to Care rounds out support. So
did I miss Dare? I did miss Dare at 11:34 this week. Yeah, but we'll jump straight into the overalls too. We'll cover both at the same time. I guess why not? Dare to Care does take first place after some stellar weeks over the past few weeks at 18:20. 7 weeks of play, 19 games, 570 minutes. Takes 18:20. Jeff Hinla coming in at second with 18:07, overtaking his brother Ionic over on Cog Red, who has 1786. Then we go over to Aurora at 1759. Elbro Chacho down there at 1671. Pain de Viande, who subbed again at 1678. Although, again, just keep in mind he's not your main for Snipe. I feel like I'm missing somebody again.
No.
Incon, again.
Did I miss Incon again?
Yes.
But still, every NA support is over 1500.
It's absurd. The NA support, NA used to be known for being for producing hunters, and EU was always solo laners. I think the hunters in NA are fantastic, but
the supports are amazing.
Supports are phenomenal. Like Dare to Care, whom everyone came in knowing he was great. He played for COG before the launch tournament, but I don't think anyone expected Dare to play this well. I mean, Dare to Care at 11:20 is kind of absurd. He mitigated an average of 767.7 per minute. Per minute.
That's on his overall score. Yeah.
That's in the overall. It's just I cannot even fathom how much time and how good these players are to get the stats that they're getting.
I mean, just looking at his past few weeks, right? Week 1, he came out with 1509. Week 2 was his breakout week. He got 2610. Week 3, Deirdre went to 1738, which was a falling off from 2600. 1738 still being a phenomenal score in support.
2600 was the highest score overall
out of any support ever. Yeah, and then you went to 1690. Yeah, and then you went to 1690, and then to 2042 last week. And he had, Dig had some rough games this week, so fell to 1134 this week. But just a phenomenal job overall. All right, well, that pretty much covers our supports. Let's head on over into mid. This is our second week having a mid laner, so why don't we let you take over the mid scores?
All right, so this past week, 1798 goes to Stealth for first place. At 1486 would be her win from the Chunks. 1371 going to Fusion OP for the Team Thirst. 1360 Boosh from Cog Red. 1339 would be the Jerb playing for Snipe, and last would be me, 1054.
As everybody from Dig having a rough week this week.
Oh yeah, we had the worst week ever.
Yeah,
it looked like week 1.
Well, we have you here though. I mean, we saw a vast improvement from week 1 even up to now. Week 1, your score was 1146, and you shot up to 1519, almost 400-point increase. So awesome to see the increase in Dig coming back, and then you 1251, 1254, 1458. So we're seeing a lot of consistency, which is nice. And then this week, of course, Dig just having a rough week.
That's part of it.
Oh, that's definitely part of it. Yeah, if your team loses and they lose as bad as we did, you're not gonna pull any numbers. When we first formed the team, we had a week to practice, and we only got like 2 scrims in, which was another reason why we were really bad week 1. I can blame it on that. I have to, because that's what it was. But we scrimmed somebody, and I think it was Snipe, and that's what they were doing. And I think this was really new to like coming off the kickoff lane or whatever. I don't think any teams were really doing this and abusing Bumba's Mask and leeching mid. Like that used to be like, junglers would go do their thing, which it was really smart, because I'll tell you why it's so good right now. When you play mid lane and your jungler does not leech and help you push mid, and theirs do, so you have their jungler and their mid pushing the wave, and then you have to play passive because they can go on you. And then when they're done, the full wave comes to your tower, and they can go rotate and steal buffs, and you still got a full wave of your tower. That's honestly why it's so good to leech mid, is if you're leeching it and you push it real quick so that you guys can go and do back harps together, whatever, and use the Bumba's Mask effectively. Right. But if your jungler does not do that and theirs do, you're going to fall behind. The jungler might come out ahead a little bit, maybe from soloing camps or whatever, but you're going to fall behind because their jungler is helping push, and then you're going to lose money to the tower and any kind of aggressive play you can do.
And I will maintain till the season ends and any of that. That is why I think Gnaw of Dig has lower numbers than because Dig landed in 4th seed. So one would expect Gnaw to have higher numbers than he has. But because of his play style, he doesn't. Now when you talk about people like Stealth ended up with 100 kills overall. He got 23 this week. I mean, Stealth, I'm not to say Stealth is selfish, because I would never say that in a million years. I think that mid can be played in so many different ways. The way you play it happens to be my personal favorite.
Well, I can clarify. I'm actually not a passive player. I'm actually a player who wants to kill you and will kill you and mechanically try to outplay you. That's actually how I am. It just so happens that I don't get last hits on kills. That's just how that happens. There's been plenty of times where I've done 80% of the damage to somebody and somebody else gets the kill. That kind of thing. And depending on how the game goes, that's how edge. Like, all right, our first win against Red, I ended up going Divine Ruin second item because I knew our first big fight, we're gonna need Divine Ruin if we don't have Weakening Curse against. I think it was like an Aphrodite or something. But I knew, it was Aphrodite against Cog Red, and so I went Divine Ruin second, which kind of put me. That's when I got kind of known as a support mage mid. And actually, it's funny because I joke. That team and I joke about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm just a support mage. You can leech off me, steal my kills. I say that to everybody. It's a joke. No, and I understand why people say it. It's because it's kind of there. I don't usually get kills as much as I probably could, and the fact that I went Divine Ruin second item to help my team instead of being selfish, or not selfish, I guess you can't say that, but instead of trying to go max damage and try to snipe, do kills or whatever, I just did what I thought would win the game, and I did. We won the game. But depending on how the game goes, if I'm getting like there was like a game like a couple days ago where we had 9 kills. I was 0-0-9. We ended up losing, and I ended up going like 0-4-9 or something. But that game, I wasn't getting kills, so I just kind of transitioned into more of a supporty style. I mean, there's no point in going. You don't have the goal to go Rada to Hootie when you're not getting kills.
Well, I believe that the actual two purposes of the mid laner is early game. Yes, can I get the big burst on the mid Harpies fights? But late game, can I sustain my team on pressuring a Phoenix or pressuring an objective? Or can I, 100-0 somebody as a mage? If you can't do that, then yes, you have to sustain your team. So it's not necessarily being a support mage or being a burst mage. It's, can I do my job with my team comp? And
the whole thing is the whole thing is to do your job. Your job is basically not die and help your team get kills and or get the kills if you need to.
Yeah.
The thing about mid is it's not like solo or duo where you have blue buff. There's not much kill potential in mid because you have to use your abilities on the wave. If I had blue buff and the other mid laner had blue buff, sure, we could probably brawl out and see who's going to win a fight. But since there's normally not too much aggression depending on the matchup, usually most matchups are kind of even or a little bit in favor of somebody else. So that's another thing. Like, it's not like solo lane where battle the mechanics and God win. It's kind of like who can push their wave and then help with the first team fight the best. That's kind of how that goes down.
Cool. Well, let's go over the overall scores. I'll shout those out for us real quick. Overall, first place in mid lane is going to go to the Boosh at 1519. Second place will go to MLC Stealth at 1476. Third place will go to Jaco Malfoy at 1335. Fourth place will go to Herwin at 1298, and not far behind him is Not at 1289. That pretty much covers up our mid score, and that takes us right into solo. Crimson, you want to take us away on solo?
Sure. First place this week is Divios because Divios, and he had 1986. Cyclone Spin of the Chunks going 1731. Kiki the White Mage at 1637. Omega at 1631. Osmos at 1414. And Shang, who struggled this week, at 1161. I really want to see whether or not Kiki, once again, led in healing for the... Oh, no, he did not. Dang it. Cyclone Spin, why you gotta ruin my joke? But
Wait, healing per minute. He led in healing per minute, 50.9. Cyclone was 26.8. Omega has 56.2 though.
Oh.
So Omega ruined your joke. Sorry. Although overall he still leads.
Yeah.
All right.
So your joke stands.
Kiki the White Mage.
Kiki the White Mage.
But GPM this week, I just want to point out how absurd Omega was in GPM this week. 564.
And that was with Meditation Guan Yu.
That's certainly true. So, just to point out Divios' level of insane, that is Divios. Divios got 66 kills this week. 66 kills overall, 44 deaths, and 166 assists. Now, one doesn't think 166 assists is insane until you point out that Kiki had 157, but Kiki had 33 kills. So Divios was not only getting all of the kills, he was also contributing to team fights. So, as we said earlier, ban Divios.
You can't ban Divios.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
I know.
Not ban against Divios, just ban the person.
Yeah.
I think the thing about like Divios is probably just the Yanis. I don't think anybody's afraid of anything else too much. Maybe the tier, but the tier can catch you off guard. You could always go Ares if you're good enough and just counter that, But like Cyclone tried, and he almost did, but yeah, I think
I played Kali this week in the solo lane, and like 2 weeks ago, I thought Kali was the worst character in Smite. Don't ask me to make predictions; it just doesn't work.
Kali is just her end game is just insane.
Yeah. Well, if you play her in the solo lane, she gets the farm that she needs that she wouldn't necessarily get in jungle.
She's just super.
Yeah, but she has really bad clear, so she has bad.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Tower hug for 9 levels.
Not even worth. What you do is do what Cog Red does and Prime do, or whoever. What they do is they just have help. Like, just carry your jungler through the early game, and then he'll carry late game.
Talking about the chunk, Cyclone Spin led in player damage per minute this week at 781, which was, if I'm not mistaken, almost 200 more than next highest, being Osmos on Thirst. So Cyclone Spin, I guess, using his unconventional chunks picks, he's putting out the damage. So
yeah, but I mean, it's just like other players that we talk about in other regions too. You can put out all the damage you want, but if your team can't capitalize on it, and if you don't get the kills on it, it only means so much.
He had 18 this week, second only to Omega, but.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like this. I mean, our stats show that you're actually doing your job, but it's just that your team is not synergizing all the way. It's kind of a hard line to. I don't know.
I like that you keep bringing up synergizing, because that's honestly like 90% of this game. When you have a team that's on the same page, you can have the best 5 players of each role play with each other and play a mediocre team, and they could probably lose.
Yep.
Maybe not a mediocre team, but a good team, and a team that's been around for 1 year and been playing, or like 3 months, been playing together and synergizing. Synergizing has a lot to do with this game.
Scott, you want to take us over and lead us through the jungle scores?
Sure.
For the week.
All right. This week in the jungle, we have Anister coming in at a 1947, followed by Wolfie at a 1605, and then Degar's coming in at a 1565, followed by Weekend at a 1476, and 1467, and then Unique coming in at a 1264, and then Last is coming in at a 1204 because they had kind of a rough week this week.
Yeah, I think we've said that on almost every roll at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure all of our scores are probably almost dead last this week.
So, what I do want to bring up is why Andy played so well. I mean, Andenster proved why he's in consideration for best player in the world. He had 558 GPM, he did 875 player damage per minute, he did 99.4 structure damage per minute, and Andy got 29 kills in a week from the jungle.
All right, here you go.
29 kills in the week from mid, or you get 32 if you're the Boosh in a week, which is absurd. But he got 29 kills in a week. That's just absolutely insane.
Cog Prime finally came back this week. Cog Prime finally came back. They were tired of Cog Red. They were tired of Cog Red beating the snot out of them every match, and they finally came back to play. And I was waiting for it. I told us all last week that it was going to happen. So did Wolfpack. And, I'm glad to see it come back. I'm glad to see more synergy come together. What I'm glad to see is something I talked about back in week 2, that I was sick of Cog Prime being this counter gank team. In other words, they would wait for you to make a decision, and then they would win off of countering that, which they've changed in the past 2 weeks, and they've actually went aggressive, and they're winning, but because the synergy is there, which what we talked about earlier, but it's not this hurry up and wait, because I was sick of them playing the chunks and hovering around fire giants and counter warden. I was like, what? Just beat them.
That's Prime's playstyle, is the aggressiveness, and something about Andy. Andy, when he is on, and there's nothing that's going to stop him. And that can be said about a lot of junglers, because junglers set the pace of the game, and if a jungler is on fire, their whole team is going to follow suit.
Yep.
Andy is one of those guys where if he falls behind, though, we've seen that he's gone 0-7. He's gone 0-8. When he gets down, he kind of usually stays down. When he's ahead, he's never going to let you go, and his whole team is going to follow right suit. I think Andy's the backbone of Prime myself, and I think they rely a lot on him. Yeah. And he's usually really consistent, so when he is, it's just going to be more victories for him. I mean, and they were really aggressive, and I think they were passive, a little more passive when they were losing a little bit, and they lost to us. They play a little more passive. They weren't like this. We tried to get on the aggressive side, and that's what happened. And today, when they beat the hell out of us, they were really aggressive. I mean, they sat at the mid harpies and waited for us to come around the corner, and that's how we died. That's all she wrote from there. But But yeah.
Yep.
So I've got Wolfie stats up here. You guys are asking. Wolfie in his last game of the SPL season before going off from the wild card went 16, 6, and 9, averaging a solo lane or a hybrid score in the jungle of 1807, doing the best performance we've seen from Wolfie since week 1.
And I told you he would end with a bang. Now I
can't wait to see him next season, man.
What?
Can't wait to see him next season.
I feel bad for whoever they play in the Challenge Cup.
I feel like if Thirst, and this is the thing, when I watch Thirst, they look. I told Wolfie this too. I told him. I was like, you look like us in week 1. What's hurting you guys right now is the indecisiveness. There's no leadership. I feel like, and it might be on him, might be on a few other players, but I've seen him go in the air and just nobody's ready to follow. If it's on Thor, and nobody follows foot. Like they're just like, should we do it? I could hear him. Should we do it? I don't know. Wait, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, no, maybe not. That's kind of how we were, and I know that's how they are, especially with roster changes.
I want them to have a consistent roster. That's all I want from this.
If they don't get a consistent roster, they're not going to do anything. Because, like I said, I believe like at least 80% of this game is team synergy. Teamwork is really key, and communication and follow up and trust is really key. And when you get roster changes like that, and you're, it's just bad. Like I said. You could be one of the best players in the world. You're still going to lose because of the teamwork.
Yeah, it's like week 1. You know, we were talking about week 1 where when a mid laner, you know, such as yourself, when you know exactly where at Lazarus was going to be, like on which part of the wall he's coming around. That's when you get that part of the synergy. When you know exactly what he's going to do on which character. That's when things start to come together. That's when you start to line up those ultimates, you line up those skill shots, and you get that team synergy.
I remember this time, and this is a good example, and this is an example that involves me and Laz. When we're still trying to get our team synergy, we went 0-4 the first week. We're really bad. But then we I think it might have been a scrim. I don't think it was an SPL game. I played Yanis. I think it was Yanis, and he played, I think it was probably Thor. But I was in the mid lane, and Zap was getting ganked. My first instinct was to ult over and help him. But as soon as I was about to do it, he said, ult the left harpies. And then I just immediately, I didn't even think about it. I just immediately did a 180, looked which way I was, and then ulted where he went, and we got a double kill. Zap ended up living, and we took buffs and everything like that. That's the kind of thing you need. You need the trust. It's like if he says something, do it. If I say something, he does it. That's the kind of thing you need. Between a mid and jungler. Same thing with the duo, and the solo is kind of like, I might rotate the mid harpies. I do feel bad for Xing because Xing is not the problem why we've been losing most of the time. I mean, he's given up first blood once or twice or something, but like other than that, like he's an amazing player. He's mechanically really good, but we're losing because of the synergy between the team on the other side of the map.
Well, luckily you guys have a lot of time between now and regionals to get that underway. You guys can scrim. And everything. So, Crimson, you want to take us away on our final overall junglers?
Our final overall junglers is Thorgars, better known as Dagars, and Cloud Red with 1656. In second would be Andy at 1543. In third would be Weekend of Snipe at 1476. Fourth ends with Lassus at 1468. And fifth is Wolfie 2032, Thirst captain, and I think also Thirst only player who played every week at 1337, and Unique, ending in last at the Chunks with 1266. Now, Unique's an interesting story for me, because I think he's the best Freya player in the world. For some reason, they just either never give him Freya, or if he doesn't play it.
Andy played a lot of Freya jungle, and there's not many Freya jungles. We've done it in Dago a little bit, but Last doesn't really like it. But the thing is, Unique, we call him Unique, I hated playing against him in rank because he played Bakasura and just dumpster everybody on my team. You know, I absolutely hate him. I'm glad to see him get on that team. And when he first came to Chunks, he did really well. He played the Freya. He played his go-to gods. He has fallen off a lot with Mercury. We're not even afraid of his Mercury anymore because he's been missing all. He's been playing really bad with him. But his Freya was like the thing that stood out to like his aggressive playstyle was Freya. But yeah, he's I don't know what happened. He was doing so well when he first came on the Chunks.
I still think he's got room to improve. You know, if
we all do.
Oh yeah, but I mean, he was one of those people that came to the SPL where you know I watch a lot of ranked. I watch you guys stream a lot, and you know I saw him coming ranked, and even Cret. I remember Cret saying, "Oh God, this dude's gonna blow it up." But it all comes down to this: in the past 7 weeks of SPL play, you have number 1, team synergy. Number 2, god pool. Increase your damn god pool and get better. Get better with the ults. Get better with even the combos. It's kind of like this. If I play some other type of game, if I can freeze somebody and then somebody else has got a fire spell, it works better. So just it all comes down to that, and it all comes down to the first thing we was talking about is synergy. And every player in the SPL has done an awesome job. And, some's done better than others. But, it comes down to this. They're all better than us. Well, us three. Not you. But and it just comes down to the more y'all play together, the better y'all be. And I cannot wait till see the regional semifinals. I cannot wait to see the, going into the LAN event at the World Championship. And then what excites me even more is going into next season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you'll see a lot of young bloods.
Next season?
Young bloods.
Young bloods.
Well, overall, Smite, even in casual queue, and I've been playing ranked as much as I can, but even in casual queue, it's been tougher for me, dude. It's been tougher for me because there are a lot of more people playing this game now, and a lot of people that are better than I am. And I'm like, stop abusing me, please stop. I've been playing this game for 2 years and you're still kicking my ass. But anyway.
All right, well, that pretty much wraps up our jungle roll. Looking at the future, for those of you who don't know, starting in October, later this month, actually, I think it is. It's next week. That's when it starts. Is the wild card. You will have Thirst and Fat Chunks Assemble in the North America going up against Rambozos and 5 Angry Men in a round-robin style tournament, similar to what we had for the SPL. Over in the EU, you will have SK Gaming and Team Coast up against Agilitas and the Potato Boys. The top 2 teams from both of those games, so 4 teams total, will go on to the regionals, which will happen in November. And they will join up with the top 4 teams of the SPL in North America. That's looking like, it's not looking like it is, Cognitive Red, Cognitive Prime, Snipe, and Dig. And then over in the EU, you're looking at Exposed Secrets, Mortality, TSM, and Cloud9. I almost forgot the names. And they will meet up with those 4 teams, and they will have the regionals. And then the top 2 teams from the regionals will go on to the Smite World Championships in January. If you haven't gotten your tickets, they are on sale now. And I know Scotch and I will be going to cover it for Next Wave Gaming. It's going to be exciting.
And I will be expecting Gnaw there. Big fanboy.
I'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
I will be there. And although I haven't had LAN experience,
Dig there.
I was gonna say although I haven't had LAN experience with Smite. I used to play Counter-Strike very competitively, and I've been in many LANs with Counter-Strike. So, you're gonna get nervous your first few minutes, but it'll iron out as the game goes on, and hopefully we all we're not hopefully we're going to be all synergized by then, and hope to make a show.
But I think, does anybody else have anything else to wrap up the NA video? Are we good?
I would just like to personally thank Gnaw for coming on. I am known as a Dig fanboy. I am a major Dig fanboy. So I cover the NASBL, and I know I don't write the most flattering things in the world about Dig all the time, but I love Dignitas. They are my team, and please go win Worlds.
Awesome.
That's what we're here.
Well, Gnaw, where can people find you? Have you plugged that already?
No, Twitter is Dignitas Gnaw, at Dignitas Gnaw, and then my Twitch is Gnaw TV. That's the 2 things I use the most. I don't really YouTube. I do have a YouTube, but it's Gnaw TV. Same as my Twitch, but I usually just upload Smite highlights. The latest one was a triple kill with Yanis, and the one before that was a pentakill with Vulcan. So those are cool, but I'm not very active YouTube. It's mainly Twitch and Twitter.
Awesome. Well, everybody make sure to go over and give him a follow on Twitter, give him a follow on Twitch, and if you can, make sure to click that sub button for him. Give your esports community the support they deserve, because they put on some great shows for us, great entertainment, and we all love to cover it and love to watch it. Well, for myself, Wolfpack89, Scott737, and Crimson White, and everybody else here at Next Wave Gaming, we want to say thank you for watching. Make sure you go and give us a follow at Next Wave Gaming on Twitter, Next Wave Gaming 2 on YouTube. And you can always visit us at nextwavegaming.com. We will be getting a site overhaul pretty soon, so everything will be new. We will be bringing you new stats. We have new content coming out. I know Scotch has some stuff in the works. I have some stuff in the works. So make sure to give us a follow everywhere so you can keep up with that. From everyone at Next Wave Gaming, thanks again to Na for joining us, and we will see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in for the SPL. Hope you guys enjoyed everything.
Some reason, but yeah.
You guys have some moments of really good glory, though. That
Yeah.
Okay, you're the first dig guy I've talked to since it happened. That drop ship, holy hell!
The level of fanboy,
Who called that?
I'll break it down. So this is what was going on. That whole game, it was back and forth. Lead changes happened like 3 times during that game between us and Prime. Now we talked about this 10 minutes, like 5-10 minutes before Dare DC'd for like ever, and we talked about doing that because we had the perfect team to do it. We had one Phoenix down, and they had a Phoenix down on our side, so we could have easily. They're not going to be on that side because the fire minions are pushing in on the right side, which is our right side that we went and did the dropship to.
Right.
So we actually considered doing that. And then we were actually talking about it. It was actually Shing's idea for it in the first place. He was talking about doing it because, we have Bakasura minions, we have Cookie Decoy.
Why am I not surprised?
And so we were talking about doing that just to do it. And if it ever came down, if they did Fire Giant, we were going to do it and just end the game. That was the plan. But then Dare DCs, and then... I don't know if anyone... No, nobody didn't die. But okay, so I watched this replay 3 or 4 times, and I have a really good theory of why this worked. So Dare DCs, and Zap... Now, this is where Zap was like, we're doing it. Like, and we all agreed, like, we had nothing to lose. Like, we knew Dare was going to come back. Like, we could not fight heads up with them on Fire Giant. Like, 4v5, it's not going to happen. So this is what happened. We got sentries. And the first key thing about this play... And like again, this is from my opinion and why I think it worked. I watched the replay like 6-7 times. So we dewarded the first ward in the first beginning of the jungle, and that's what Last did. I made sure I didn't rotate over there while the ward was being dewarded. So Last dewards it. I walked through, but there was a ward. There was a ward that just went down, and there was a ward on our speed on our
red buff.
Red that they saw me and Last. So. Zap was pushing out the right fire heart minions, but then this is the second part. So they're pushing down on our left side. They got 1 tower. They were about to back, but Shing showed himself mid, and I think that was the key thing. Was that Shing was like, "I'm going to show myself," and he said that too. And he showed himself mid. They stopped backing as soon as he was seen by minions. They stopped backing.
They actually went for mid Phoenix after.
Yeah, well. So then they went to right Phoenix, and this is when we're already grouping up. If we went back, we wouldn't have done it. But Shing showed himself. I think that's what made them not back. And then they got our right Phoenix, and then they went for mid. Now, once they went for mid, that's when the ult was already going off, and we were already going back there. If they would have went straight for the Titan, I'm not sure who would have won. I think we would have still, because we had the creeps, the Bakasura creeps. And the Loki decoy, which counts as a creep, I believe, which makes the Minotaur weaker. They didn't have any of that. And there's no minions pouring into our base. They would have to face tank it. But granted, they had 5 people, still ult, stuff like that. I still think we would have won, but the whole thing that they didn't back made us win. If they would have backed instead of getting Phoenixes, or at least the right Phoenix and maybe back, I'm not sure. No. But when we started to back and they didn't, that's where we won.
No, I think their mistake, as soon as they took that mid Phoenix, instead of trolling alone over to the right Phoenix, they should have backed immediately. But the problem is they did not see y'all at the Minotaur until they were already attacking that Phoenix.
And what kind of surprised me the most is that I hit the Minotaur dead on, the Titan. And no, you can't see it. I had to blindly shoot that ult. I couldn't see. I was like, I think it's this angle, and I shot it, and I hit it dead on, which was kind of cool. The base,
I put the replay in the video last week.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Well, thanks for that perspective, man. That was cool to hear it from your perspective.
Yeah, that's how I think it worked. I think if COG would have backed when they first started to, we wouldn't have won.